General Cain, thanks for joining us one more time. It's kind of bittersweet to see you leave us, but we know it's time for you to move on to other things. First question I really wanted to ask you, you've now been the wing commander here for 3 years. What would you summarize as the top 1 or 2, maybe 3 key accomplishments during your tenure here?
Yeah, and if you would have asked me that a couple of years ago, I would have thought the outcome would be different, but hardly anybody probably remembers the first commander's call that I had in the fall of 2019. And I had some goals set, some vision towards IT and infrastructure and people, and things that certainly are still issues, but the ones that ended up being the biggest accomplishments were ones that confronted us along the way. And the first one is the DEI&A office that we've stood up. So diversity, equity, inclusion, accessibility under the leadership of Mr. Cecil Williams is a huge accomplishment, and we're pacing the Air Force, pushing forward, forging the path for the Air Force in diversity and inclusion. And that was all accelerated in the wake of George Floyd, and we grabbed a hold of the initiative and have really made something of it and are making progress with it that will now yield results that helps unlock the power of our workforce. And I think that's going to be perhaps the most long-standing and significant accomplishment.
On the operational side, what would you highlight perhaps as a key achievement over the past couple of years?
Well, the fact that I have to say the fact that we kept the operation going. And once again, that wasn't one that was an expected outcome, and that's just keeping the mission going during the pandemic. And I know we'll talk more about the pandemic, but it really eclipses a lot of the other great accomplishments. And we've done great things with the range, we've done great things with mission partners, we've developed new technology, we've got new aircraft here that we're testing and fielding, helicopters, fighters, but just keeping the entire mission going through years of the pandemic is just a huge accomplishment that's been on the shoulders of our people, and I'm extremely proud of it.
You mentioned the Team Eglin partners. Can you talk a little bit about the synergy that Eglin brings to the table when you look at AFRL, the Armament Directorate, the 53rd Wing, 90, how we collaborate on various programs?
Yeah, and every time I give a newcomers briefing, every time I have a distinguished visitor here, I highlight that synergy and that purpose-built team there between the Weapons Directorate, AFRL, the Test Wing, the Operational Testers, and the 53rd Wing. And there have been a lot of examples there where we've developed technology and pushed the art of the possible. I think of QuickSync, which we just did, as a great example of that. You know, an AFRL-led Joint Capability Technology demonstration, partnered with the Test Wing and with the 53rd Wing to keep our maritime targets at risk, because that's where our focus is now on strategic competition. Of course, EB, the Weapons Directorate, brought us the JDAM that made that possible, although weren't as directly involved in QuickSync. But that's the kind of synergy that we have among those teams. Golden Horde is another perfect example, which is the PEO for Weapons program under the Air Force Vanguards, where we tested network collaborative autonomous weapons and successfully executed that, and now are taking the lessons from that and using that to build our digital ecosystem for how we're going to do future weapons development. So a couple of great examples there of how this team works together and advances technology.
Excellent. Let's talk a little bit about COVID and the challenges there. 2 years plus under COVID conditions. What as the leader of the wing and of the team and the installation commander, what were your most significant challenges in keeping that level of interest and dedication and commitment to the mission while protecting? What were the biggest challenges you faced as the wing commander?
Yeah, the first one is there's no playbook. There was some policy that was on the shelf, disease containment plan, HPCon levels were a thing before the pandemic. But when the pandemic hit us, those weren't ideal. Those frameworks that they had built, the plans that were on the shelf, didn't necessarily fit with the virus that was attacking us. And so we had to create on the fly and be creative. And starting with no playbook really was probably the biggest challenge to overcome. I remember the first time we sat down and did a town hall with more primitive technology than we're sitting here in front of today. We made it happen, but I had a discussion with those leaders that were on that town hall, which was there are really no right answers to some of the questions that we're going to get or the problems we're going to face. There are going to be skeptics and critics of those, and you just need to make decisions and keep moving forward and refine. And that's what we've done for years. And there have been policies that have come in, and national policies, Air Force policies that have caught up along the way. But a lot of the time at the installation level, we were making the playbook as we went. And that's not how we always operate.
What are your thoughts then on, when you talk about talking with the leaders across the base, what are your thoughts about the resiliency of the airmen and the workforce to have dealt with that? You know, what are some of your impressions of the people just trying to continue to get the job done?
Yeah, the word impress you said impressions, but I'm impressed. I think we haven't seen the full impact of the pandemic yet, honestly. But the resilience of our workforce, what they did to get the mission done, absolutely impressive. But we still have the weight of that on us because there's still the virus around and the threat of that, but also just because of all the stress of those years that were upon us. So I think we're still going to have to be working through this for some time of what that's done to people. I'm concerned about the medics in particular that have borne a lot of the weight of this, but absolutely impressed with how our people were able to come together, communicate, find a way to get the mission done, and we got a lot done, despite probably a little slowdown at the outset as we were trying to learn about the virus and understand it. Once we got through that, we turned it back up and have been doing a lot of great work for years now under those conditions. So it's really impressive.
I think you've answered really my next question, but if you had to give one message to Team Eglin, to all of our test wing Eglin partners, is there kind of a 3-year overarching theme that you've got that you might pass on to the
I hate to say it, but stay safe and stay connected. I know I've said that so many times, but I think it does come back to that, because fundamentally what we do, we have a lot of similarities if you look across our missions. You look at a risky test mission that we might do, you look at a training mission that the 33rd Wing might do, a combat mission that the 7th Special Forces Group might do. They're all risk management exercises, and we have to make sure that we're protecting our force, preserving our force, and making good decisions along the way. So that stay safe is a lot more meaningful to me than just stay safe in the pandemic. It's fundamentally what we do and one of our real core competencies. And then the stay connected part of it is a matter now of recapturing our culture and traditions. There are a lot of things that we haven't done for years, and I would really just encourage everyone to grab a hold of those things. They define us as service members, as our base, and they're important to do. We just did a retreat ceremony last night, and that's something that shows us as professionals in the profession of arms, gives us more pride in what we do, grows our esprit de corps. So staying connected means getting those culture and traditions back and keeping them vibrant and alive.
Very good. And then a final question, a final thought that you would have for the communities that surround us, your relationship, and what the future means to continue to have a strong relationship with the communities.
Yeah, I'm going to say the same thing I told one of the military affairs committees just last night, which is you hear about the support at Eglin and how great it is to be in this community and how military friendly they are, but how much they support what the bases do. But then you show up here and you see the offers of support. And over the 3 years that I've been here, now I've seen what happens when we collaborate with the community, when we reach out for help, because things get done. And that makes us stronger as a base, it makes us stronger as a nation to jump to that level. So I think because of that, the future is bright for for Eglin, for Hurlburt, for all of our Panhandle bases that have incredible communities around them.
Great answers. Any final thoughts that you might have? Anything else on your mind?
Well, I'd like to definitely thank you and your team for making it possible for me to communicate. We didn't talk much about communication and the challenge of doing that over the course of the last few years, and we had to rewrite that playbook too. And I think that's one of our great accomplishments, not just because I'm sitting here with you, but because it was important for us to do, and it's important for us to continue to do, to understand the command perspective, to get everybody on the same page, because we really are all on the same page. We're one big team. We've got ultimately the same goal, which is national defense. And I just want to thank everybody for what they've done for the 3 years that I've been here, but I have no doubt and am excited about what they'll do next. So thank you.